when Chinese people first discovered this plant, they didn't take it as a beverage, and curiously, it was a medicine.
Tea, a leaf first discovered 5,000 years ago in China, a witness to much of Chinese culture, and then slowly evolved into one of the world's top 3 non-alcoholic beverages, just alongside coffee and cocoa. People around the world drink tea for different reasons. Some need the caffeine hit to start the day, some want a moment of quiet in the middle of chaos, and some drink it to connect with friends, and some just like the taste. So, what's the secret behind this humble leaf?
Hello viewers, here's Guangcheng. Today we're gonna go through the tea. Today, there are plenty of kinds of tea on the market. Black tea, green tea, slimming tea, even bubble tea, that which has become super popular among Chinese young people. The choices are endless, but honestly, with so many options, have you ever stopped and wondered what the tea actually is? And how did this humble leaf turn into so many different drinks all over the world? Well, to answer that, we need to start with the leaf itself. Besides all the flower tea, slimming tea and trendy blends, the original tea, the very beginning, actually just come from one single plant called Camellia sinensis, found mostly in southern China. And here's something interesting, the famous Chinese 6 types of tea, they all come from the same leaf, same plant. The only difference is how the leaf is processed. So in Chinese mind, real tea normally just refer to this one plant. Even among some ethnic minorities, they make this same leaf to very different things. Tibetan butter tea, Mongolian milk tea, Daiju, bamboo tea, and others. So why has this single plant fascinated the whole Chinese region for over 5,000 years? To find that out, we need to know what tea actually does for the body. According to research, tea contains a rich supply of natural active compounds. The 3 most important ones: beta-caffeine, astringent polyphenols, and sweet, fresh theanine. We all know caffeine wakes you up, but with too much of it, you will feel uncomfortable, nervous. And here's something interesting. The caffeine in tea is not as concentrated as it in coffee. And the theanine, which bring the effect of relaxation, help neutralize the anxious feeling that caffeine alone can cause. The result is a calm, alert, focused mental state. At the same time, the natural sweetness of the theanine softens the bitterness of the caffeine. So the true taste of tea is this balanced bitter-sweet harmony, acquired natural flavor. So when you feel overstimulated by drinking coffee, you could try tea instead next time. Tea polyphenols, on the other hand, play the main role in health benefits. Thousands of related compounds from this big family work together to give tea multiple health effects: detoxification, blood circulation improving, anti-aging, weight management, and so on. And because tea is gentle enough for daily drinking throughout every day, it's widely recognized as a healthy beverage for long-term use. In short, tea is a healthy drink with natural and restrained flavor, suitable for all ages, and can be enjoyed every day. If you want to focus on your work, you can drink tea, or you just want to relax or spend time with your friends, tea also acts as a great companion. But here's a cultural fact. When Chinese people first discovered this plant, they didn't take it as a beverage, and curiously, it was a medicine.
5,000 years ago in ancient China, back when people were just starting to live in tribes, they didn't know much about what could they eat. They would often get poisoned by eating the long plants or berries. According to a myth, there was a sage named Shenlong who had a transparent stomach. He could actually see the effects of different substances moving through his body. So he tried to to help the local people by tasting all kinds of herbs and recording their functions, so people could tell whether a plant was toxic or not. One day, after tasting hundreds of herbs, he got really poisoned. A lot of toxins had built up in his body. Suddenly, he noticed a plant that gave off a very pleasant, fresh fragrance. He picked some leaves and ate them. After a while, he felt alert and energized, and the toxins were gradually flushed out. He recorded this plant, and from then on, whenever people get poisoned or had stomach problems, they would take it.
And that's the story of how tea was first discovered. Also, it was the earliest enlightenment of traditional Chinese medicine. After generations, people named this legend as Shenlong, tasting 100 herbs, to honor this sage. But in ancient time, before people knew how to process tea, they mainly used it as a type of medicine or food. When someone felt restless, poisoned, or had undigested food sitting heavily in the stomach, they would eat a few tea leaves to regulate the body. Or during times of food scarcity, they would often boil tea leaves together with another ingredients into a soup as a type of food. So for a long period, tea didn't have a clear definition. That ambiguity remained until we reached the Tang Dynasty, a real turning point in the tea culture's history. A man named Lu Yu wrote the world's first complete book about tea. The classic of tea is only about 7,000 characters, yet it covers basically everything: the origin of tea, the tool needed, how it is produced, the method of brewing, the customs, the history, and so on. Before this book, tea knowledge was scattered, passed down by word of mouth, and he put it all together and gave tea a proper foundation, a pattern that people could follow, learn, and refine. But most importantly, in modern theory, Lu Yu gave tea something no one ever mentioned before. He gave tea a spiritual core, what he called 精行简德. Refinement in practice, restraint in character. These four words have shaped the inner core of Chinese tea culture for over 1,000 years. Tea is no longer only just a beverage, it's for self-cultivation, a way to restrain the desire and train oneself to become a junzi, a person of noble character, is how Chinese people define a gentleman. Based on this inner core, Lu Yu also unified the method of preparing tea, what he called decocting tea, grinding tea leaves into powder and boiling them in hot water. It might sound simple, yet it requires 24 tools and more than 8 dedicated steps, each one demanding its own special technique. With so many precise steps involved, the process forces you to slow down, to focus, to be fully present. In that focused state, you lose distraction and in a way, find yourself. And that, I think, is exactly what we call craftsmanship. Not just making tea, but cultivating yourself through the art of making it. It's no exaggeration to say that Lu Yu has built the basic foundation for all of Asian East tea culture. And for this, he was honored as tea sage. Why? From his method, spirit, his technique gradually evolved. In the Song Dynasty, it became whisked tea, where tea powder was whisked into a froth with a bamboo brush. And this, in fact, became the ancestor for today's famous Japanese matcha, which slowly shaped Japanese tea culture into something quiet, disciplined, and profoundly spiritual. But in China, Ming Dynasty, they decided to strip it away, the most of the steps, the tools, the ceremony, and kept only the essential: tea leaves and hot water. This is what a Chinese philosophy means: 大道至简. The great way is always simple, and that simple way is exactly how most of us drink tea today, simply brewing tea with hot water. So, as you can see, Chinese and Japanese tea culture share the same spiritual root. But just like the same root growing into two very different trees, their outward appearance, the vibe they give off is totally different. For those details, we're gonna dive into it another day. But whether it's the Chinese way or Japanese way, the core is the same. They never only just drink it, but it's about to find the inner peace. It's about what happens inside you while you are making it and drinking it. It slows you down. It quiets the chaos. It leads you to a simple, natural world. And that quiet focus is scarce, especially for today. That's why I think of tea as a kind of a mental detox. Not in a trendy way, but simply a pause, a reset, a moment of clarity where you can purify the informational noise and slowly you find your true self. So, my beautiful viewers, something must have kept you watching until now. The whole tea culture's history is like a giant, colorful paint scroll started in China and slowly expanded across the world wide. It's impossible to cover it all in one single video. So, why don't feel free to join this channel and explore it together.